has been a hot minute since I have been on here. I'm talking 5 years and 2 kids later. If you are an OG, welcome back. And if you're new, I am Hailey K or Hailey Castro. And today I wanted to show you guys a very natural glam look, or neutral glam. For a makeup artist, this would be my natural makeup. For everyday woman, probably not, but that is okay. I'm just hoping that you can take tips and tricks that I show you and apply them to your everyday makeup routine to make it a little bit more turned up and a little bit more easier to understand and follow. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so we're going to start off with the Ole Kendrickson Counterbalance Oil Control Hydrator right here. And this is really good for combination skin such as myself. I'm the type that I can get oily in my T-zone, but at the same time I can have flakes. So this hydrates, but it also controls that shininess throughout the day. So I'm just going to use one pump all over my face, concentrating though in the T-zone. Alright, so now we're going to use the Too Faced The Hangover, the primer, right there, and I'm going to use one pump. So after your primer, I'm going to do my foundation. I'm going to do the YSL All Hours foundation. There you go. And I'm going to be using the color Warm Caramel. So I'm using the MAC 130 brush. This is the foundation brush I'm going to use. Focus, focus, there it is. This is the 130. And I just put that on the back of my hand. And I'm just going to apply it evenly all over. Next, I'm going to use the Too Faced Born This Way concealer, and I am using the shade Snow. Focus, that one right there. And a little bit goes an extremely long way with this concealer. So I'm going to just kind of dot in a triangle pattern, and then my T-zone. One little strip there, and then one on the tip of my nose. Cupid's bow, chin. So using the same brush, that MAC 130, I'm just kind of buffing it out. And this is starting the highlight contour look. Leaving the nose because I'm going to actually do some contour with the highlight. So I'm going to leave that right now. I'm just going to do the eyes. I'm using the big brush just to buff out the outer perimeter. And then I'm going to go in with a smaller brush to do the under eye. So for under the eyes, I'm going to use the MAC 270 brush. This one right here. This is a newer brush. It's one of the new synthetic brushes. So I'm just going to take the rest of the product and just buff it under my eyes. So you're already getting that kind of contoured look just by highlighting. So we're leaving the nose because, as I said, we're going to be doing a contour with the highlight, and I'm going to kind of blend them together at the same time. So I'm going to be using the ANASTASIA Beverly Hills Contour Stick in Mink. This is the color right here. It's a nice neutral. It's not too gray. It's not too warm. I really like this one. So I'm just going to take it. A little bit goes a long way again. And I'm going to go from the top of the ear to the mouth. That's kind of my guideline. But I'm going to stop right there. And then around the jawline, kind of give you that snatched look. And then I'm going to take a tiny little compact brush. This is actually from, I believe, a Tarte eyeshadow kit, which I've used for my contour for the last like 2 years. It's just a tiny little compact brush. And then a little fluffy brush that I'm actually going to use to buff out the contour on my nose. This I'm going to use to apply it, because this stick for my nose is way too big. So I'm going to go in and very lightly do 2 little lines, and that's going to start snatching that bridge. like that. And then I'm going to go around the tip of my nose. And that's going to bring up the tip. And then I'm going to do one little line right here. So when this is all blended out, it's going to make my nose look thinner. It's going to pull this up and then give you kind of like that little button nose, I call it. I don't know why I keep doing this. So I'm going to take the fluffy end of that Tarte eyeshadow brush, and I'm just going to very lightly buff out the nose. Tap that light part out like that, and then start from the outside and work in, and kind of just stop at that middle because I'm going to do the same to the other side. Going in that vertical direction, you don't want to go like this because you're just going to blend everything out and it will be all for naught. So now I'm going to take this compact brush. This is a Soho brand. Honestly, this was my mom's. I don't know where she got it. All right, so I'm just going to take this, blend this out, pulling it upward. Don't pull it down because that's when you get that kind of blob on the side of your face, and it's not going to look like you're defining your cheekbone. You know, it's just going to be this brown mark. Stippling or tapping where you want to diffuse product, but you really don't want to move it around. So if I wanted to diffuse this out, I wouldn't be pulling this way because it's going to pull that product into the center of my face when I just want it to diffuse. And then jaw, and take off the earring. A little easier. Just pull it around and then pull down. Put this back on. All right, and insurance. I call this my insurance brush, that foundation brush we use, the 130. I like to just kind of go over that, just make sure it's nice and blended out. All right, so now I'm going to use my bronzer. And I am using the MAC. This was from a line last spring. This is a MAC. I don't know how to pronounce the name. It's Benai, I think. And it's all scratched off. But anyway, just any bronzer you like. I liked this one because it was more neutral. Once again, use whatever you like. And I'm going to use the MAC 168 brush. Just an angled brush. And I'm going to tap more on the side of it because I'm going to be doing the right side of my face. And I'm kind of going over that contour that we did, making it a little bit more concentrated, more towards the hairline, and diffusing it out towards the middle of the face, and buffing it upwards, once again, not going down. Just like that. Same product on the temple and around the hairline, just to give you that nice natural glow. Bronzer is for, obviously, to give you more of that natural glow, but just where the sun hits you. So contour is going to make things look more refined, more perfect. If you don't have really, you know, prominent cheekbones, you can make them. You can make a sharp jawline, but with bronzer, you can give yourself more of that tanned, sun-kissed look. And I also kind of like to use it to set my contour because I do use a cream contour. Tiny bit around the jaw, not much. And then a little on the tip of the nose. Going back to my insurance brush, I call it, and just making sure that those lines are still diffused and not harsh. All right, blush. Let's do blush. So I'm going to be using the Tarte Seduce blush. It's a matte blush, and it's kind of a pinky neutral. And I'm going to be using the MAC 129 brush, this one right here, just a blush brush. And I'm going to be going right on the apple of my cheek and then pulling it up right above that bronzer. So tapping motion and then pulling it up. You're wanting to create a flushed look, but you don't want to go over your bronzer too much to where it just looks like you have a big pink blob. And leaving that part up there light because that's where you're going to be putting the highlight. You're wanting to make sure that that bronzer still stays bronzer. This is blush, this will be highlight. Many have heard my analogy of kind of Neapolitan ice cream. You're going to have your chocolate, strawberry, and vanilla. Keep them separated but diffused at the same time, if that makes sense. So for my under eyes, I'm going to be setting it with a different powder than I'm using all over my face. I'm going to be using an illuminating powder just to give more glow under the eyes. And this is my favorite, of course, the MAC Warm Rose. This is what I usually will use. You can see the pan, you can start seeing it's almost empty. And it's a more translucent powder. It is jet milled, so it's extremely fine, but it still has an opalescence to it. It's not gonna look shiny in the sun or anything or shimmery. It's just gonna give you that nice, just subtle glow. So I'm gonna use one of my favorite brushes, the 133 from MAC. It's just so tiny and it's so cute. I love it, it's a flatter brush. So I'm gonna use that and I'm just gonna go right underneath my eye and set that little triangle. You can't see it as much on camera, but in real life it's gorgeous. Just like that. And then for the rest of my face, I'm going to be using the Kat Von D Lock-It. And this is the translucent one. There's no color to this because I already have a full coverage foundation. I don't want to add more product. I just want to set it. And I'm going to use the MAC 140 synthetic brush. This one, in comparison to like the 129, it's large and it's more pinched. The ferrule is more pinched. I love this brush. So I'm just going to more so set my T-zone with this and my jawline. I don't have to worry about this area because all this right here was already set with the bronzer, the powders. Anything powder sets it, so you don't have to really worry about that. And that's it for face. Okay, so eyebrows. So I'm going to be using the ANASTASIA DIPBROW in Ebony, which is right here, and I'll show you guys the color in a second. I'm going to be using a little 266 from MAC, just a little angled brush right there. And there's a little bit of product on there. I always leave a little bit when I'm done each time using it because I'll pinch it and it just keeps the bristles really nice and tight. So I'm going to dip a little bit in there. And I use the lid to actually kind of mush the product around. So I just go back and forth to distribute it. And then I pinch it really hard. So your fingers will get messy, but it'll be like a hair stroke. And I'm gonna get you guys closer. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to do just little tiny strokes and just flicking it up. I'm building it more so down here because I want it to be more arched. So a lot of people, I mean, you can add arch up here, but most people, if they want the arch, they just build this really high. If you bring this lower, it's already going to create that angle of a more arched brow. And if you mess up, no worries, because we can take concealer and clean it up underneath. You see? So then when I put my brow gel in, these will stick up, my actual hairs, and it'll just give it that really nice fluffy look. Alright, I did my other eyebrow, and I'm going to do a little bit of concealer underneath the brow just to clean it up a little bit. And I'm going to use that Born This Way concealer again in the color Snow. Same color I put underneath my eyes, and I'm just going to put a little bit on my hand. A little bit goes a very long way. And I'm going to use a flat brush from MAC. This is the 242 synthetic brush. So it's very thin, so it's just easy to really get in there and just crisp up underneath the brow. You don't have to do this. Today I felt like it. You can just leave it kind of more raw edged, but we're gonna do it this way. Just in case you do try it and you're like, oh great, I messed up. I'll show you, this is how you clean it up, basically. Clean it up. It was like, meh. Okay, so you took a little bit and you're just gonna run it right underneath the eyebrow. I'm doing a tiny bit because, as I said, I really don't want too much cut out. Wiping off excess as I go on my hand. Okay. So, eyes. Let's get into eyes. I'm going to use my MAC Prep & Prime 24-hour eye base right there. This is really good for people that have a problem creasing. It's probably because of my hooded eyes. I have a really hard time finding a eyeshadow base that doesn't crease on me throughout the day. So this is the only one I have found. So this is what we're going to use. So I'm just going to use my finger all over. Just bring it up to where we put that concealer. The only thing with this is that it is translucent, and I have very, very veiny lids, if you can tell, because I'm very pale. Everything's translucent. So I will have to go in with my MAC Painterly. Painterly used to work for me just as my base, but the last like 3 or 4 years, I don't know what. I don't know if it's my body changing because I'm getting old. It ain't doing the trick, so I have to kind of layer both. Using my finger just to apply it over it, tapping on. If I could find one product, that'd be amazing, but I haven't found it. So if you know of one that's good, leave it in the comments below. Now, obviously, you guys realize I do have lash extensions, so we're not going to be putting lashes on. I'm kind of giving, it's kind of a cheat. I know it's a cheat, but if you guys do want to learn how to apply lashes, put it in the comments below and I can get a model or something and kind of show you guys step by step. All right. Eyeshadow. I'm going to be using the Norvina palette from Anastasia, and I'm pulling from, I'm pulling from that mustard color, this color, Incense. So I'm going to use, it's actually the one that comes in the palette. So it's this brush right here, comes in this little section. You use this end. This is very comparable to like the MAC 224 brush. Yeah, 224. And I'm going to use this Incense color just because it's a nice light brown. And this is going to be my transition color, meaning when I get to the darker color, it's going to be a lot easier to blend into my lighter brow bone. I'm going to use it right on my orbital bone right there. I'm not going in the crease because I'm going to be putting that darker color in there. Just kind of blowing it out. And then I'm going to flip the brush and go right underneath my eye, but I'm not going on the lash line itself because I'm going to be concentrating that darker color there. So it just blows it out all around the eye. So for the crease color, I'm going to be using the MAC 221 brush. It's just a pinched version of that Anastasia brush, or the MAC 224 if you want to, if you know your MAC brushes. You can see the difference, how that one's a little bit more flat and fluffy, and this one's a little bit more, you know, pinched. So I'm going to be using it with the Eccentric shade. That's the name of this one, and it's just a really pretty kind of mustard brown, if that makes sense. Sounds gross, but it's pretty. And I'm just going to apply, I'm going to tap off, and I'm just going to concentrate that right in the crease. Kind of wiggling it to get most of the product down, and then I do the windshield wiper motion just to make sure it gives you that nice rainbow effect. So when you drop it in your crease, whatever's left on the brush, I usually will just kind of buff upward. So it still kind of gives you that blown out look. And I'm going to go in with the MAC 239 brush, which is just a little flat brush. And I'm going to use that same color, and I'm just going to concentrate on the lash line on the bottom. So just looking up. So it's starting to give you that really blown out look. So I'm going to do a more of a halo eye on the actual lid. So using that eccentric shade, I'm going to pack it right on the outer corner of the eye and the inner corner, leaving that negative part in the center of the eye. We're going to put the shimmer there, but that's going to give you more of a opened eye look, especially if you do have smaller eyes or more hooded eye shape. Because if I did dark all over the lid, it's going to make your eyes look really small. This way, it is going to, number one, lighten up your eye, so it's going to look more natural, but at the same time, you're going to have that dark on the outer and inner part, and it's going to give you a little bit more definition to your eyes, if that makes sense. So now, because I have it on the inner and outer, and this part doesn't matter if it's not even, because the shimmer just kind of blurs all that. I think I'm actually going to use this summer shade. It's kind of like a champagne. Let me use my finger. You can see, isn't that beautiful? So I'm going to use my finger, and I'm just going to tap right in the center of the lid. So now I'm going to take my mascara, and I'm just obviously going to apply it on the lower lashes. And I'm using my the Super Fan from Smashbox. This is my favorite right now. It doesn't clump. It's a smaller brush, so you can get into those little baby lashes. This is the brush. So it's just a little comb effect. All right, so eyes are done. Next, my favorite highlight. So I'm going to use the Dose of Colors, the DESI and KATY Friendcation line, and Fuego. Oh, that's so good. Okay. Love it. All right, so we're going to just use a Morphe brush. This is the M510. And we are just going to glaze. Whew. And I'm going to use just that 133 brush from MAC, just the tip of it, and go right on the starting part of my bridge and then the tip. A little bit on the Cupid's bow, and then a little in the inner corner, just with a little fluffy brush. All right, so lips. So y'all know my favorite is the Fresh brand, the Sugar Lip Treatment. This one right here, it has the SPF 15 in it. I almost said 35. SPF 15, you can get this at Sephora. It's clear, there's nothing special about it, but it is very special because it's the only lip conditioner that I can find that doesn't dry out my lips, and it's perfect under liquid lipsticks that are very drying. So I already threw that on in the beginning before I started this video, and I am going to use for my lip liner the MAC Stripdown lip liner. This one right here, just a nice neutral color. So I'm going to outline my lips. All right, and then I'm going to use the Dose of Colors liquid lipstick in Nude Chica. This one right here in Nude Chica. I think it's upside down. Maybe not, I don't know. So gonna apply that. Actually, this one's a little bit more warmer. This was from the ILUVSARAHI collection, I believe, with them. I like to use my finger just to take excess off, and it kind of blends it out better too. Cool. Cool, cool. I think that is it. Thank you guys so much for watching my first video in a very long time. I appreciate you watching it and taking the time. If anyone has any constructive criticism, I would love to hear it. Please follow me on Instagram at @HaileyK and like and subscribe to my channel. Thanks, guys.